You hear them, but you never see them. The voiceover artist in TV shows, commercials, animation, and all sorts of products, including toys. We'll talk to one voiceover actress today. It's all coming up next on Below the Line.
It's Below the Line with George Peroulas. On tonight's show,
Welcome to Below the Line. Some people are born with a remarkable talent that they later develop into a career. My guest has done that by simply opening her mouth and using her voice. Please welcome voiceover artist Lisa Biggs. Hi Lisa, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you, George?
I'm great. Now Lisa is here at the Ground Crew, a recording studio in Charlotte where she just finished up a project, and you do voiceover work for TV commercials and animation and film and all that, right?
That's right, George.
Now tell me what it's like transitioning from this cartoon voice to your real voice.
Surprise! This is my real voice.
That's right. This is your real voice.
Yes.
You were born with this voice and now you've had it
Yes.
all your life. And
Yes.
as an adult woman, this is how you normally speak.
Yes, and in fact, for those that are curious, it's actually a birth defect. So, I guess probably around 7th grade, kids started to notice that I sounded different from everyone else. I got a lot of, "Are you from California? Why do you talk that way?" And I didn't really catch on until about 9th grade when they started to say, "You sound like a baby. Why are you doing that?" And then, you know, it never changed, and so I still sound like a baby, except now I get paid for it.
What kinds of questions are you asked about your voice?
Well, I mean, there's the obvious. Did you suck a lot of helium? Do you have a hidden secret helium tank in your purse? Is that your real voice? Why do you sound like that? What's wrong with your voice? I get that a lot too. But I've come up with several clever comebacks now. I try not to get my feelings hurt, and I try to be polite because most people are just curious. You know, they don't encounter someone like, I guess, with my sound every day, and so I understand their curiosity.
Well, you're an amazing lady who's overcome so much, and you're using it to work in entertainment. How did you first get started?
Well, I was a junior in college, and I was in a public speaking class, and was approached actually by my professor afterwards to say, "Hey, you know, I love your attitude, I love your just presence, but by the way, your voice is a hindrance. If anyone's ever going to hire you or take you seriously in the professional world, you're going to have to do something about it." And so I did. About a month later, I moved to New York City and studied acting for 2 semesters at the School for Film and Television. It's funny, when I first started there, folks would ask me, "Oh, so you're interested in acting? I see that, you know, you're..." And I said, "Oh, you know, actually, I'm not interested in acting. I'm interested in doing voiceovers," as though they were 2 separate things. When in fact, that was really the most, I think, necessary skill set to have, for me at least, was to have a solid acting background before I even got behind the microphone. And so I got started. Then I ended up actually cutting my first demo with Ross, who is at the Ground Crew here. He helped me produce my first professional voiceover demo, and I sent it out to a couple of talent agencies in Los Angeles, because at the time, that really was the hub for any kind of voice acting, LA or New York, where you had to be. And so, I mean, just kind of miraculously, just by chance, I got picked up by one of the larger talent agencies, one of the biggest ones, really, for animation. And so just really lucked out right out of the gate and got on the fast track to a career in voice acting. So I feel very blessed.
How does this whole process work? A career in voiceover work, getting an agent? Is that the best way to go about it?
Yes and no. Having good representation gives you credibility, makes you seem like you just are more professional than the average voice actor who doesn't have good representation. I mean, the first step to pursuing a career in voice acting is to be an actor. Study acting, study improv, study voice, study specifically voice acting. And there are a lot of people out there that offer some terrific opportunities to learn that craft. There's Pat Fraley, who's a great teacher. Bob Bergen. There's a handful of some really talented people that are available and that do actually leave the comfort of Hollywood and come around the country to Atlanta and Charlotte and different areas so that people can have the training that normally is only accessible to people in LA. Most people have studios at home, and there is, I'm telling you, a ton of work out there through LinkedIn and I mean, you can connect with anybody nowadays. You can bypass the whole agent, casting, director steps and go straight to the creators, straight to the directors, straight to the animators. And so definitely coming at your profession, coming at this career from an entrepreneurial place is also very beneficial. I would say that I probably book 80 to 90% of my work on my own, just through relationship building. And so yeah, so if your agent isn't sending you out every day for auditions, don't worry, there's plenty of work. You just have to go and find it and connect with the right people. But it's definitely doable without even solid representation.
Right, in any business, just like on-camera acting, you know, actors have agents, but they still have to get their own work. Now, walk me through a process of either getting your own work or through an agent getting the audition and getting the job and coming to a studio. Tell me how that all works.
I mean, it's different depending on what market you're in. In Los Angeles, they want to see you, which is good because it's always great to have FaceTime with people, with decision makers, casting directors, producers. But if you've ever spent much time on the 405, you know it can be a big old pain in the butt. You have to sit in 3 hours of traffic just to go to an audition that you don't book. But typically, if you get the audition from your agent, you either go into the office and you audition. Most agencies have a booth in-house, and they have a booth director who walks you through your audition and helps you just pull the best performance out of you. If you book it, you may hear the next day, you may hear in 6 months. You just never know. If you book it, you then drive to the studio where they're recording, and usually, you know, there's a casting director, there's several producers, there's just usually a lot of people on the other side of the glass. And you do your thing. You come in there and you remember that you're there because they want you to be there. I think that's probably the most valuable piece of information I ever received from a coach was when you've booked the project, go in there and kill it, because you should. It's your party. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to be nervous. They liked you already. You don't need to impress anybody. Just go in and be yourself and do the job and ensure that hopefully they'll bring you back again. Or sometimes they'll just take your audition and go, oh, we loved it. We'll take that. And you don't have to do it again. That's great.
Now, on-camera actors can communicate with a look, their wardrobe, their actions, and of course speaking, but voiceover actors only have one tool, the voice. So it's harder, I think, to do what it is that you do.
Yeah, it can be really difficult. A very important tool that I think every professional voice actor should have in their toolbox is improv. Because you go in and they're going to ask you to say the same thing 50 different ways, or they're going to ask you for 6 different voices. And the beauty in that is perhaps you don't fit the character that they're casting in that casting call, but maybe you fit another character that they've been looking for a voice for. So, I mean, just come in there, I would say with at least, for animation, come in there with at least 6 different voices for the character. But yeah, as far as when you're in the booth and when you're performing, it is really hard. My fiance, he's so funny. He'll tell me, you know, okay, well, have a great day doing whatever it is you do, you know. And then I'll finish with a session and I'll be exhausted. And it may have been only a 2-hour session, but I mean, it's hard. It's really hard. I mean, you've got to stay in the moment. You don't really get to take many breaks. And you've just got to keep coming up with whatever it is, because they know what they want to hear. in their head. However, they may not be able to articulate that to you. So you kind of have to be part mind reader, part improv genius in order to make everyone happy.
And how do you overcome a busy day doing take after take after take?
You just, for me, I remember just how lucky, how blessed I am. I'm thinking, you know what? Yeah, I'm frustrated, but I get paid to talk. You know, I get paid to do what one of my buddies, Rob Paulson, says. I get paid to do what got me in trouble in 7th grade. Like, how lucky are we? And so remember that. Remember just how lucky you are to be in that position, and just let it roll off your back. If they're being picky, if they're taking longer than you expected, big deal. It's gonna last 2 hours, 3, maybe 4 at the most. And you'll get a check in the mail that'll make it all worth it. So just hang in there.
Now, besides TV and animation, where else have we heard you?
I do a lot of toys, a lot of talking toys, mostly obviously for kids. I do a lot of interactive media. Now, this day and age, we have apps. There's an app for everything. And so I've actually booked really consistently with ebooks and e-learning apps and just all these different types of media that didn't exist 5 years ago. I mean, the iPad revolutionized my voiceover business. I book at least one app a week. I know, right? Kind of awesome. And I hope to continue to keep that up. They say in the next year, or 2013, that the app industry will be a $23 billion a year industry. Somebody's got to do those voices. I mean, one of my girlfriends does the voice of Trapster. I mean, there's just so much technology out there. And so people think voiceovers, they think Disney, Pixar, they think commercials. And that stuff is great. And I've been really thankful that I've been able to work in that arena. But gosh, there's so much work everywhere. I mean, just from little technological devices to, the Garmins. I mean, somebody's saying those words that are coming out of that machine. And toys and interactive stuff, video games. It's a booming business. It really is.
How long does a voice session usually last?
It depends. If it's an e-learning project, I get a lot of those. 45,000 words can be 10 hours, but they break it up into 2-hour sessions. Commercials can be 15 minutes. You're in and you're out. Grab your Danish on the way out. To go with the one you grabbed on the way in.
Typical actor.
I know.
Craft service.
I love
Good
it.
stuff.
I love it. I mean, it just depends. Some things, a lot of stuff we do at home, and so what may take 20 minutes to record may take another 2 hours to edit before I send it to the client. ISDN sessions are totally different. You're just in your little booth with your headphones, and you've got whoever, wherever they are, anybody, anywhere in the world really can connect with you via ISDN, and you just, do as many takes as they ask. It could be 5 minutes, it could be an hour. I mean, it just kind of varies on the pickiness of the client or the length of the script. But I've never had a session that lasted longer than 4 hours. That's the longest I've ever gone. And I did get a 15-minute break in there just to kind of go and collect myself, because it was a boy thing. And so I was this character voice that was really hard on my throat. So I kind of had to take about a 15-minute break and just kind of regroup, because that's hard on your vocal cords. But yeah, so I mean, it varies.
What sort of voice preparation do you do before a session?
I'm really bad. I'm such a slacker. When I'm driving to my session, I'll practice whatever it is I have to do. Like today, I'm doing a unicorn and a monkey, and so it's all sound effects. So I was practicing as I was driving, and just making sure that I was warmed up to do the sounds. But if it's just the character, I'll sing in character. I'll talk to myself. A lot of times, just so people don't think I'm crazy, I'll have my phone and I'll say whatever it is that kind of comes to my head and just make up stuff, but just so that I'm doing a character's voice, so that when I get in there, it's not like, oh God, what's that sound, But I'm really bad. I know a lot of people are real just diligent about specific warm-up exercises that they use, and I'm not. I'm like rolling through the drive-thru at Starbucks, drinking coffee with milk, which is so bad on your voice, but I need it, I need my Starbucks. And so, yeah, I'm really slack. I usually go in and just do it, and I'm not the most prepared. But I get the job done.
Yeah. And speaking of food, what about temperature for food and drinks? Do you avoid extreme hots or colds for your voice, or are you supposed to?
Well, yes. I mean, the last thing you want is like a blister on your tongue or somewhere. I mean, if you eat something that's really hot, that makes it uncomfortable to speak. If you have, I would avoid hot mostly. Cold, yes. Before your session, I don't know if anybody else has this problem, but my tongue gets a little. So, like, after I eat ice cream, it kind of sounds like this, Just,
a little warm.
Yes, I won't go to, like, Froyo or Fruitopia or whatever that super hip place is over in Selwyn. I won't hit up Fruitopia before I show up to session because it'll sound like I was shot up with Novocaine.
Very good. Coming up next, find out why Lisa is chomping on food during her voice session. Stay with us. Welcome back to Below the Line. With us is voiceover artist Lisa Biggs. Now, earlier we saw you, Lisa, in the audio booth, the soundproof booth, stuffing your face.
I'm really sorry you had to witness that.
Stuffing your face with all sorts of food. What were you doing?
I was a magical unicorn with a mouthful of shredded wheat. For a toy, actually, I don't know when. It actually takes longer for toys to come out than you would expect. But and so part of that character, part of that unicorn was it eats, and so I was eating carrots and apples and shredded wheat, which if you heard the producer on the other line going, check your manners at the door, chew with your mouth open. It was so gross. That's the first time I've ever had to vacuum after myself for a session. Oh gosh.
So when you get these kinds of roles, do they send you artwork or storyboards? Do you know the voice you'll be doing visually?
No. This one, this toys, they don't really send you anything. They just send you kind of actually, well, for this one, they sent me a bunch of YouTube clips of horses doing stuff, neighing and whinnying and all this other stuff. Animation, yes. Disney, good Lord, writes like a novella on the character's background. Like they're really thorough. Most of the time, animation stuff, any kind of apps, anything related to kids, which is I really work mostly in children's media. They do give you a picture of the character. They kind of give you a brief overview of what they're like, and so yes, you do typically get a picture. Toys, no. Commercials, obviously, no. A lot of times you get actually what they've already taped for the commercial, and if you're doing the voice over the commercial, you can see the footage. But a lot of times you're just kind of winging it.
All right. Coming up next, we'll find out what a Voxy lady is. Stay with us. You're watching Below the Line. With us is the super famous voiceover artist Lisa Biggs. Now, Lisa, what is a Voxy lady?
Well, Voxy Ladies, it's a group, a co-op of female voice actors that I kind of got together a little over a year ago. We work together. We call ourselves a selective collective. And we work together. We market one another. But yeah, it's a group that I started, with a couple of my friends. And as I met really talented professional women, I invited them to join us. So we have about 25 girls, and we're just, we're kind of operating as kind of a quasi-agency. It's not the agency that I work with, but this is, kind of on the side. And we're just girls, but we're shaking things up and getting things done. So it's been really awesome.
When people ask you how they can get into voice work, what do you tell them?
I tell them that anything's possible, and if you want it, you can have it. You can have anything you want. You have to go for it. You can't cut corners. You've got to really take it seriously. It is a profession, but have fun. Find people who, just in any business, if you want to be successful, find people that are successful and then ask them how they got to where they are, and then hope that they'll mentor you through that process. I think instead of just kind of doing your own thing and flying solo, it's important to plug into the community, because the voice acting community is so generous.
And what sort of projects are you dying to work on?
Well, there is actually a couple on my bucket list. One I actually knocked off 2 weeks ago. It's a big one. I can't talk about it yet, but it's kind of awesome. And when I am able to talk about the project that I'll be working on, it's a really cool story how it came about. But there is a studio that I really want to work with in Portland, Leica Studios. I think that's how you pronounce it. They're doing Paranorman. They did Coraline. I love that, kind of creepy Tim Burton-esque kind of feel. So I'm really hoping to get stuff like that.
Well, congratulations on all your success, and thank you so much for coming on our show and letting us follow you around at the studio. Lisa Biggs, everyone, and we'll have more Below the Line coming up right after this. Thanks again to Lisa Biggs, and thank you for watching. Please contact us with your questions, comments, and show ideas. The email address is belowtheline21@gmail.com, and join our fan page on Facebook. We'll see you next time.
For more information, comments, or questions about the show, email us at belowtheline21@gmail.com.